2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
Create new outcomes with this simple recipe.
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brannon, happy launch week, man.
Launch week. Here we are. We're launching this program, and we're in the midst of it. Look at you go. I mean, you're just doing your thing, you know?
Hey, man,
helping the world.
I've been excited all week, man. Like, We've been building out this course that we're launching this week that we announced in the last episode for so long. It just feels so good to finally offer it, you know?
Absolutely. And I mean, I think we've been careful to not careful in a bad way, like, but very intentional with what we've put in it and what it is, and testing it and making sure that a lot of the things are like effective and work. So yeah, it's launched right now. It's half price over at reclaimyourheart.org.
You got to go to so right now it's 50% off until this coming Sunday, and it's a $250 value. So you're going to get it for $250. Join.reclaimyourheart.org. And when you do that, you're also going to get 3 months of the premium membership on Reclaim Your Heart, which will allow you access to the extra Q&A that Brannon and I do every week to specifically help work through this course that we created, the healing journey.
Yeah. And I think, if you're wondering like, well, what, it's so broad and so big, and how is this going to help me? The truth is if you're healing from so many, if you want healing from so many things, this course is the course for you. Anything from betrayal trauma to you're just struggling with maybe some depression or
childhood abuse,
faith, crisis, trauma. That's what this does. And we're going to talk about this today. It goes down to the roots of why you're getting the outcomes you're getting in your life. It heals those roots and it changes the outcomes. And so it does seem really broad, but at the core of most people's problems, Tyler, is some level of not understanding who they are, and because of trauma, and then shame starts to take over, and secrecy starts to happen. Incongruency with truth and integrity starts to break down, which then has some effects on suffering and things like that. And so this course helps you go get back in alignment, helps you understand how truth will set you free, and helps you experience that truth.
Absolutely. I'm excited today because we're actually going to kind of talk through kind of a broad overview of one of the big sections inside of the course, so you can understand a little bit about how we created it and why we created it and what's actually going to be in it and what it entails, and the philosophy that both Brannon and I have around how to actually do the healing and growth from whatever trauma or shame you've been carrying in your life. Brannon, it's interesting, like when we talk about shame, I personally feel that shame might be the most insidious and most damaging energy in the entire world. When you look at like what the outcomes are from people who act from a place of shame, it produces the worst outcomes in the world.
Well, it's really amazing too, because it's so powerful. It feeds and fuels itself and then perpetuates itself. So it's an energy that just starts to take over and dominate somebody in so many ways. And a lot of times it's kind of this enemy that comes in the dark of the night, so to speak. Like you don't even realize that it's taking over. And then all of a sudden you're just living in it. It's just happening. So unconsciously it's starting to create the systems, and then it starts to take over.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we want to talk about today is how to become more conscious of what it is what our own personal shame is, become conscious of what are the outcomes that shame that maybe we've been living in has been producing. And then as we expand that consciousness, we start to go deeper and deeper into understanding ourselves more fully, and then being able to make new choices with our lives that we didn't even realize we couldn't make when the things that were happening to us happened.
Yeah.
And, I think shame has a couple of, you might call twin siblings that go with it. And you kind of said a couple of them earlier, Brannon, but things like fear, doubt, hiding, and I think secrecy.
Yeah.
All of those things, insulation, loneliness, all of those things kind of pair themselves up with shame. And then when we act from that place, we're trying to avoid people seeing us. And the avoidance of people seeing us is what then leads to us doing things or experiencing things or
turning to things.
Yeah, or that are outside my values and that actually do not help me to create what we would call a wholehearted life.
Right. Shame, in a nutshell, shame is fear. Shame is a fear of abandonment or rejection. It's fear that I'm not good enough to be loved. And if I believe that I'm not good enough to be loved, then I start acting out in all these ways. And that's what shame is. And so it's desperately wanting connection, desperately wanting love, because we all have that, but not believing that I'm worthy of it, or that I'm good enough for it. And when you're in that spot, that's where all kinds of destruction can happen.
Exactly. And what you said earlier is that sometimes that's happening right underneath our own nose, so to speak, and we either are in denial over it or we're unconscious of it. Sometimes those are both the same thing. And then we get frustrated because we look at our lives and go, man, why am I still miserable this way? But we never dive into the actual deep end of getting to understand ourselves and what it is that's what we're producing in our own lives.
Yep.
So today we wanted to talk a little bit about, the healing journey course. It patterns after the hero's journey. And we've talked about this a lot on our podcast, Brannon, but to be very succinct with the hero's journey, you guys can think about any of some of your most favorite like epic movies, and it's going to follow the same kind of pattern. Take Hunger Games, or take Gladiator, or take Star Wars, or
Lord of the Rings.
The Lord of the Rings is a classic one.
Every Disney movie ever made.
It's funny because all of the greatest stories ever told include this kind of general theme of what, Joseph Campbell called the hero's journey. Mm-hmm. And in essence, I'll just be really quick with it so people understand. We created this course based off of these same principles. So there's the first group of assignments that we've created, which is actually just getting prepared for the journey. And that includes some building of tools and skills and helping you to kind of start some lifestyle changes that are going to go towards the right kinds of inputs. And then also some ways to cope with the emotional stuff that's going to go on while you do the course. That's the prep work. And then
we don't push you into the deep end right at the beginning, because you have to equip yourself to be able to step in and do some of that really difficult work. And so we help equip you. We get you ready to step into some of that.
Yeah, it's like Kung Fu Panda when he gets when he gets like dubbed as the Dragon Warrior on the first day of training, and you guys have seen that movie where they throw him through the obstacle course 100 times and he just kind of bounces through it and doesn't, but over time he starts to develop those skills. And that's really what section 1 is about. And then it comes with a call to action, and the call to action invites you to step over the threshold into this new journey, this new path, some new ways to stretch yourself. And that leads to section 2. And section 2 is where you're going to kind of go into the shadows. You're going to prep yourself to go into the cave or get to that pinnacle of like the movie that you watch where you go and fight the demon or conquer the dragon or whatever it is. Section 2 is what we're going to talk about today a little bit. And then it leads to section 3, which is the cave. This is where in the movie it looks hopeless and you don't even know if the hero's going to get through the struggle. But on the other side of it, there's this little ray of light. And then section 4 is about coming out of that with a new superpower and realizing that you can transform yourself in some ways, and that these all come with different assignments and challenges. And then section 5 is that continued growth, developing who I am. And then the last section is purpose, and moving your life forward in a wholehearted kind of a way as a result of the things that you've now learned because you've become conscious of what it was that was holding you back.
Yep. If I can back up just a little bit, Tyler, that was awesome. And the groups that we run, the one that I just did lasted a year. And so what Tyler just went through is not something that, you just buy this course and quickly you read through it and you've been through your hero's journey. It's not how it works. But one part that, section 2 is the, stepping over the threshold. And I think a lot of people spend a lot of their life standing on that precipice, so to speak. They get caught up in reading self-help books, wanting different outcomes, but not doing the hard thing. One day it'll happen. One day they'll change the outcomes in their life. One day they'll create health and intimacy and abundance and all of those things. One day that'll happen. And stepping beyond that threshold, you think of all these movies that you bring up, Tyler, and you can think of the moment where these characters stepped into something where there was no turning back. Now everything is going to change. Everything's going to be different. And you're out of your comfort zone. You're learning, you're growing, you're failing, you're victorious, you're in the battle. But you have to take that step.
And you can't go back. Because of the step you've taken has given you just enough knowledge that you really can't go back.
You can't. And in this program, you're invited to participate in certain activities and to surrender and to let go as you participate in those activities. And sometimes people really struggle to do that because they don't want to step over that threshold. The protective parts and everything inside of them is saying, no, I'm comfortable here. I'll stay here. So this program's not for the faint of heart. and you can take it at your own pace, and you can step over one threshold and still stay, stay safe with another fear or threshold that you're not ready to deal with quite yet. But I just wanted to highlight that, Tyler, because that to me has been a pinnacle moment for a lot of the people that I've seen progress or stay stuck. And it's still not bad for them to learn and understand and be conscious that they're choosing to stay there and not stepping over that threshold. But it becomes more difficult to choose to stay there because now you're conscious that that's what you're doing.
The more you learn, the more you'll realize that the only pathway out is through. And eventually the knowledge that you gain while you prep for it, it's just like stages of change. If you prep enough, eventually you come to realize that the step forward is the step forward. It's
Exactly.
Frodo Baggins needing to leave the Shire.
Yep.
It's Katniss Everdeen offering herself as tribute and getting on the train to go to the capital. It's life will never be the same.
Tyler, I'll give you a personal example. And we were just talking about this. I sold my practice, and I signed the paperwork last week, and basically that paperwork was a contract saying this is happening. There's no going back. And this practice is a safety net for me because it's my income, and it's and so it thrust me into this place of uncertainty. And people might be listening thinking, well, why are you doing this?
Yeah, like, you're stupid. What are you thinking, man?
There's good reasons why I'm doing this. I know I need to step into this uncertainty. I know there's some creation and some growth and some good things on the other end of this.
You don't know what those are yet. You just have this feeling, this gut feeling inside that you know that that's where you have to go.
I'm in the first part of the cave right now with this, and it's exciting. It's exhilarating. And it's also kind of freaking me out.
Of course it would.
But the threshold is crossed. That's an example of an experiential for me of step. I know that I'm being called to do this. I know it's the right thing to do. I don't know the outcome of it. I don't know if, me and my family would be on food stamps in 2 years, I don't know. But
yeah, but inside of you, you've had to make this choice because the better parts of yourself have been calling you to whatever it is that you've been called to now.
Well, and honestly, Tyler, there's been some feelings of stagnation and feelings of like, I'm too comfortable and I'm too on easy street with what has been going on in my life. And I can either listen to that and see that that's how I'm feeling and that's what I'm creating. Or I can just stay stuck there. Right. Yeah. And so that's just an example of a journey that I'm on, a threshold that I'm pushing beyond, and a cave that I'm currently in.
I appreciate you sharing that, Brannon. And it's interesting that what you just described seems to be part of our human condition. We work like crazy to try to find safety and security. And when we get to safety and security, our lives become mundane and dull, and we feel the call to action to step back into the wilderness eventually.
Yeah.
And, and it almost seems to just cycle itself through 1,000 times in our lifetime of that very pattern. Okay, now life's unstable again. I've got to create something new. I'm going to grow. I'm going to learn. And now that I've kind of mastered the new skill or gotten the new superpower, I enjoy it for a little while, but eventually I am built for growth, and eventually that something inside of me is going to push me to look for a new frontier.
I was watching this Aaron Rodgers documentary, and it was really cool. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan, as you can probably guess.
Because he likes ayahuasca.
Oh man, he's a truth seeker. And there's a documentary called Enigma on Netflix, and there's this part in there where he's like, you know what, I had worked so hard. I've done everything that I possibly could, and we won the Super Bowl. And he said, I remember getting on the bus after I won the Super Bowl, after all the fanfare and everything, and the pinnacle of success for him. And he said, I remember just feeling and thinking now what? Like my whole life has been this. My whole life has been this purpose, this drive, this. Now what? Like there's got to be more here. And he listened to that. He listened, and he's trying to step into some other things and gain some deeper understanding and learning. And he's still trying to win Super Bowls. Like that's still there. And he's realizing I still got to stay uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect, Brannon. Yeah, that's awesome, Brannon. I appreciate you sharing that, and I think it's a good example of this idea of, so many people being right there on the precipice of the threshold. In the healing journey, we actually have a section on the threshold where you do a challenge to help reinforce that you can step over.
Don't give that one away, Tyler. we have them practice.
Yeah.
Just a little tiny practice of stepping over some threshold, and there's a way to practice that every day, and it's an awesome experience because you see all the resistance come up and all of that stuff, and you get to know that, and as you get to know the resistance, then you start to realize, oh, I know how to unburden that resistance and step in anyways, right? So
after you step over the threshold, we wanted to outline a little bit about how Brannon and I think about dealing with, looking at, confronting, overcoming, dancing with trauma, and that's what section 2 really is. Mm-hmm. And we use the analogy, and there's a series of challenges and assignments that goes with this, but we will, if you're watching on YouTube, you should be able to see a graphic here. If I can.
And while you're doing that, Tyler, if I can just say, as we talk about this and break this down, like try to listen through the whole thing, because it will make a lot of sense as we get through all of it. It's kind of the whole picture of it is what makes a lot of sense. And we're gonna go top down here is how we're gonna explain it. Because top down is how you have to get conscious. Because if you try to go from bottom up, you'll trigger a bunch of stuff. All of your protective parts in your ego will just start to react, and you don't act consciously. So, Tyler, do you want to start?
Yeah, let's just take it section by section. We use the analogy of what we call the trauma tree. And it's this image, and you can think about it in your mind if you're listening. You can see it on the screen right now. But the idea is that, in essence, that we are living a life that oftentimes includes a lot of unconsciousness or denial that is producing certain outcomes in our lives that we don't really like, but we're not conscious enough to realize that we might be contributing in the way that those outcomes are happening.
We're creating those outcomes. You are a powerful being who is creating, and if you know that you're creating those outcomes, that's a good thing, right?
And yeah, exactly. So the first part of this section 2 is becoming conscious of your outcomes and being able to take whatever accountability is yours for those outcomes. It's a chance to strip off whatever denial you might be living in, which is a painful experience, but it gives you a chance to reclaim parts of your choice.
Yes.
And so when we have you do a series of assignments and challenges that help you become conscious of the state of affairs in your life right now.
Yep. Anything from relationships to money, to health, to like spirituality, just to stop and be like, whoa, like, what am I getting? What is my life? Why, these are the things that I'm getting and I can't deny it. I'm looking at the fruit, the fruits of my life, the outcomes that I'm getting.
Exactly. What's being produced, right?
Yes.
And then it comes down to the leaves and the branches. The leaves and the branches are the ways that we behave, or the masks that we wear, or the protective parts that we use to try to not let people see our shame and our trauma. And so you'll go through a series of challenges and assignments that will help you to identify the ways that you may be showing up in your life that have felt automatic and that have probably served you in some ways, but are also maybe costing you something that's more than you want to pay in terms of the outcomes.
Yeah, it's the behaviors behind the beliefs. So it's like, I like what you said, Tyler. We use a bunch of different things: the masks you wear, the protective parts, but it's showing up as a poser, manipulating situations. And so you can start to see, oh, this is how I'm showing up. So here's an example. You might think about, how do you show up? We could talk about different situations. How do you show up at church? How do you show up at work? How do you show up in your marriage? And you can look at that and you can be like, oh, like I get really weak here, or I get really defensive there. I manipulate this. I avoid authenticity in that way and this way. And so you can start to see the behaviors. Now, we haven't gotten down to why you're doing that yet, but you're starting to get conscious of those behaviors. And Tyler, it can kind of start to get uncomfortable now. I think at first, even looking at outcomes, it's hard to just be honest and accountable with, these are the outcomes of my life. Some people want to be in denial. But then you start to look at, oh, dang it, like I'm choosing to shame screen in these ways, and these are the behaviors that I have that are creating those outcomes. So now you're getting more honest and more accountable with you, with the fact that you're creating in your life.
Exactly. Personal example on this one with the leaves and the branches, one of my protective parts or my masks that I've used for my whole life has been to perform.
Really, Tyler? Because you're so good at it, no one can tell.
Exactly.
I mean, we laugh at that because our shame screens are so obvious, but we think we're good. We think we're fooling everybody.
Yeah. If I go and get the Kiwanis Terrific Kid Award, and then I get my Eagle Scout, then I take a state championship.
Okay, Angel Boy.
Yeah, exactly. If I do all of that, then people will just see me as good. The problem is that I've been doing that because I haven't felt good enough. And so what I'm now doing is I actually end up pushing people away, because then I look too perfect, or I look self-righteous, or when what I'm really trying to do is be included because I can be seen as good enough.
Right. See, that I love that you're like, as you listen to Tyler talk about that, I hope you can feel from him that he's done some of his own work to actually be able to be honest about that mask, that protective part. Love that protective part that you have. You wouldn't be able to talk about it that openly, especially to an audience like this, had you not done your own work. So it's awesome that you can identify it, you're accountable for it, and you see that that's a part of who you are.
And that's the key here, Brannon, is it is still a part of me, and it has produced good outcomes.
Right.
But it has also cost me a lot when it comes to my own self-confidence and when it comes to my relationships with other people. And so it's something that I need to be aware of and love, but I need to have it be a part of my life in a different way than I've been using it to try to protect my shame.
Exactly. Oh, we'll use this example down the road here. So this is a good one, Tyler. So a behavior is, I try to perform to be good enough. That's just one example.
That's one example of a way that maybe that my shame is driving my behavior.
Yep. It can be all kinds of things, from I drive a big truck to I never have a boundary with people because I avoid conflict, to all these behaviors are the things that are creating the outcomes in your life. Now there's something underneath the masks and the protective parts.
That's the trunk of the tree.
Yeah. And this is where a lot of people are very unconscious. And this is just kind of automatic in their lives. It's understanding and seeing the systems, the belief systems. So these are the lenses that you wear and the beliefs that you have, how you view the world, and how you view yourself. And those belief systems are the things that drive the behaviors, which then create the outcomes. So if I have a belief system that everybody will let me down, eventually everyone will let me down, then I'm going to behave in a way where I don't trust people, and I'm going to create outcomes where I can't get too close to people. That's just an example. Now, I have this belief system of people will let me down. That comes from somewhere. If I have a belief system that I'm just dirty and, disgusting or just a pervert, that's a pretty common one that we hear a lot. It doesn't mean that I'm going to go out to the world and say that's who I am. It actually means quite the opposite. I might go have all these behaviors trying to overcompensate and be good enough and show people that I'm actually good. I'm not this thing, right? When I overcompensate, that creates certain outcomes. You get it. The belief systems are what drive the behaviors, which create the outcomes.
And the interesting thing about the belief systems a lot of times is they've been formed in ways that were unconscious when they were forming. So we don't even, sometimes we're not even aware that our beliefs are dictating how we're operating in the world. And so part of the work here is to, there's a series of challenges here to help uncover and identify the belief system, the template that I'm operating from.
Right.
And then that leads to, how do those beliefs form? And that's the roots of the tree. The roots of the tree they're basically the life experiences, particularly the emotionally charged life experiences that send us the messages that we interpret that lead to our beliefs.
Well, and I don't know, like you say, particularly emotionally charged. I don't know if I'd say that, Tyler, because when we talk about subtle conditioning, sometimes it's not emotionally charged. Sometimes the agreements that you make are just conditioned over time. And
they might be lightly emotionally charged, but the deepest beliefs do have an emotional charge to them.
Well, and they're when you have that big T trauma and those type of experiences, it shifts your reality drastically and sends you into protection modes. So it can be anything from like a parent abandoning you when you were young, like something drastic like that.
The neighbor molests you.
Yeah, or maybe you were adopted. Like you didn't even know that you were getting into this trauma, but something about being adopted informs who you are, and it creates belief systems, creates behaviors, and creates outcomes.
Yeah. When we use the definition of trauma, Brannon, like you could use I think the Gabor Mate definition goes along the lines of anything in our life that fundamentally changes us. Yeah. is trauma. And that could be all those big things you're talking about, or it could be something, if we want to use like my example, something that is actually unconscious and is just a way that I interpreted as I was growing up, being the oldest boy.
Right.
Feeling a need to be a good example and make sure I set the stage, and wanting so desperately to make my parents proud of me. That there was nothing big in like a big massive trauma in that, but there was an underlying pressure that I put on myself to do those things. And when I couldn't do those things, then I felt like a failure. And that's when I learned to hide. And then I needed to still perform. And that gap of needing to hide because I knew I wasn't perfect, but needing to show everybody that I was a good example, that caused a lot of dissonance and pain and shame in me. And then that fueled the beliefs, the behavior, and the outcomes that led to things that I didn't want in my life: hiding, lying, deception, addiction, all of that stuff.
Right. That's a great example. It's a great example of there's many different experiences with that. And what's interesting is trauma has a way, and we talk about shame. Shame has a way of perpetuating itself. You have this belief system, you start to believe these things, and then that belief system actually pushes you back down the tree to go have more experiences that say, you're a performer to get your worth. So put yourself in this arena or avoid that arena or whatever. And then it drives it home that that's how I get my worth, is by performing. And then that starts to become your paradigm. That starts to become your reality.
That's right, Brannon.
Right.
And the reason we approach it the way we do is we have you work from the top of the tree down to the roots, because we have to get through some of those protective ego kinds of parts so that we can then say, okay, experience contributed to belief, and belief leads to behavior, and behavior leads to outcomes. That means I can actually now become conscious of what those things are. And because I'm conscious of those things, I can now make different choices, and I can help to manufacture the right kinds of experiences that will fuel new, adaptive, true beliefs about my identity. And then I'll start to actually live a life that feels rich and full and colorful, and will have more of the outcomes that I desire.
So, Tyler, what you're saying is, and this to me is like, it's a miracle. This is like amazing, and it's possible. But this is what I hear you saying, is that if I've had a bunch of experiences and I'm getting conscious of the way that I'm reacting in this world and creating in this world, what you're saying is I can actually go back, I can get conscious, I can reprocess and have new experiences that shift my paradigms and shift my belief systems, and then create different outcomes in my life. That's what you're saying?
That's exactly right. And it has to be that way. And that's where I think so many people struggle so much, is that they want to do the work of a little bit of head work to call a belief something and change it differently, but it actually takes the full experience. It takes experiences to shift beliefs in a deeper way, to create and practice new behaviors. So that's why there's layers. You have to peel back the layers to actually understand how trauma is really working in your life and how shame might be operating in your life. And so systematically, we want to go from the outer layer to the inner layer, and then we want to start building in from the inside out once you become conscious.
I mean, the recipe is this, Tyler. First, you got to get conscious. And second, you have to practice courage, because all of those protective parts and masks and everything, those are set up for a reason. Those are set up to protect you. They're set up to make sure that you don't get exposed, that to make sure that you're not vulnerable. And so when you're conscious, it's just like what I was talking about with the threshold. A lot of people can get conscious, but they have to step in, and the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. And so you practice that courage. And then the third one, so consciousness, courage, and the third one's consistency. You can step into that cave once and it can shift everything for you. But if you allow yourself to practice that courage again and again, it will fundamentally change the way that you view yourself and the way that you view the world. And if you know how to walk through that process, then you can create whatever you want in your life. You can create different outcomes, and you realize your purpose, you realize your power. And it's awesome. The trauma, no matter how drastic or hard it was, it goes from being this thing that is taking your life out to this thing that is supporting you to create what you want. Because it now
the fertilizer.
You've taken the power back, and you get to allow that to bless you now instead of take you out.
That's exactly right. And that's really kind of what this whole section is about. Is, I have a friend who he owns a really, really big dairy farm up in Idaho, and I remember going to his dairy farm one day and getting to work with the cows and things. And then I went to this. They have a machine that they call the honey sucker, and you can imagine what that is. But it drives around the farm and it like sucks up all the crap, right? So they have this pool that's a bunch of crap, and then next to the pool they have this big pile of just manure.
I bet it smells good.
Oh, it smells really, really good. And It smells terrible. And he told me that he had to go every so often and take his tractor, and he had to like pick it all up and dump it all out because they have a composting business too.
Which they should. That's
Yeah. The interesting thing about that is that pile of crap generates a ton of heat. And if you don't actually go sift through it and help it to decompose a little bit, eventually it becomes a flaming pile of crap. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, it actually will.
That's awesome, but
it will actually self-ignite.
Wow.
Yeah. But
your farm blows up just because you got too much crap.
if I'm willing to go down to the crap yard and turn it and treat it and understand it and realize that can either be a flaming pile of crap or can become something that's valuable and fertilizes the next crop of feed that you're going to feed those cows. That's how you treat your trauma. So you can run away from the flaming pile of crap for as long as you want, but eventually your life will catch fire enough that you'll be called to the threshold. And when you step over the threshold, it's okay to move systematically into and through to allow those experiences of your life to change fundamentally how you see yourself from negative, shameful ways to powerful possibilities with the growth mindset.
Tyler, I always wanted to be a farmer, and you're telling me that's what we are. I mean, we're just creating compost, right?
That's exactly right. We're not only creating compost, but then with that compost, you're going to develop a life that is beautiful. You're going to grow something additional as a result. And that's the whole goal. So hopefully that makes sense, that idea of layers to get through your trauma.
Well, and that's why when I talk about this applies to anybody, that's what I'm talking about is if the outcomes of your life are addiction, if the outcomes of your life is not being able to move on after getting betrayed, if the outcomes of your life are whatever, right? If you go through this process and you understand why you're responding and why you're reacting to the things that have happened to you in your life and what you continue to create, and you dig deep into that pain and you face that pain and you deal with it and you get uncomfortable, whatever it is that you've been through can be compost. You can turn it and you can create beautiful things with it. And that's what this process takes you through.
Perfect. Brannon, good conversation today.
Yeah. Remind them where to find it, Tyler. Where can they go get this?
I think this is really important. This is the healing journey. Reclaiming Your Heart from Shame and Trauma is what it's called. And it's important. Do it before Sunday, January 12th at 10 p.m. That's the cutoff date for the opening special that we have, which is 50% off. Yep. So go to join.reclaimyourheart.org. Again, that's join.reclaimyourheart.org. Come work it. Come do it. This is your call to action. You've been sitting on the sideline for too long. There will be difficulty, there will be struggle, but there will be support if you want it, and there will be change. There will be change.
Tyler, how do they join your group? And then I'll talk about how they can join mine.
Yeah, either way, you're going to work the same. You're going to work the same curriculum in either place. Lovestrong.com is probably the best way to reach out to us. Lovestrong.com, or you can go to the actual website reclaimyourheart.org, and there will be ways to get access to both Brannon and my groups.
Yep. And
how about you, Brannon?
Yeah. When is your group, Tyler? Like when in the week? It's a 90-minute group, right?
It's 90 minutes. So this is the upgraded one, the group option. It's 90 minutes.
You don't have to do the group option.
No, you can just buy the course.
Yeah, but you can have Tyler and I guide you through. And when is it in the week, Tyler?
Yeah, we have multiple options. We have multiple groups. We have a couple of daytime options that are noon Mountain Time. We have a really late night option that's on a Wednesday. And then we also have several options during the week in an evening option for both men and women.
Awesome. Yeah, mine is Thursdays. It's I'm starting a new one February 6th for men and women. And yeah, you can find the link. You can go to the Brannon Patrick Show and click on the healing journey and find information there. So yeah, we'd love to have you work it through in a group program, but you don't have to. You can get the content and you can start working it on your own as well.
Yep. Well, thank you for being here with us. If this is valuable, please share it with other people. We love to hear from you, whether it's through reaching out on the therapybrothers.org website to ask a question or to give us some feedback or reviews. And until next time, keep on keeping on.